Hello everyone, Barbara from AllBrands.com. I'm so excited to be with you here today because we have some amazing things going on. We have a huge giveaway and then another giveaway. We have an amazing brother educator, Tina Bartelmay. She is amazing. And we're going to be talking about the 10 needle, the Stellaire machines. It's just going to be really exciting. We're going to be doing summer projects. So let me just tell you how you can enter to win. At the end of this video, we'll be doing a $50 AllBrands.com e-gift card. So go ahead and comment hashtag AllBrands to be eligible for that. And also we have, and we'll include the link in the description of this video and in the chat, a $3,200 dime mega giveaway. You get software, tons of software. You get just a lot of embroidery accessories. This is going to really enhance your embroidery studio. We also have Brothers 60 months financing going on starting tomorrow, just in time for Mother's Day. 0% APR financing for 60 months. And we're going to be showing today the Brother PR 1055X 10 needle embroidery machine and the XJ1 Stellaire. We'll talk about the XE1 Stellaire. So please go ahead and register for both of those so that you can win at the end of this video. So let me bring in the amazing Tina, and here she is. Hi, Tina.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing excellent today. I'm so excited about all these giveaways. I'm excited for summer, and I'm excited that you're on the show with us.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Yeah, those giveaways are awesome. I wish I was eligible.
Yeah, me too. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? How long have you been embroidering?
You know, I got my first embroidery machine back in 1991, back in the old days when you saw those funny little cards in the magic box. So I go almost to the beginning of machine embroidery.
I remember those all too well. I'm so grateful that machines have USB ports in them now, and now even wireless transfer from your computer to the machine. It's amazing, the technological enhancements.
I laugh all the time. I really like the wireless features on the machines because I don't know about you, but I must have 1,000 USB sticks in my studio. And so I know my design is on one of them. Which one? That's a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to just store everything on your computer and just send it to your machine. So yes, I'm so thankful for everything that Brother has made possible to machine embroiderers. So we have tons of people watching. Do you want to say hey to a few folks?
Absolutely.
Let's see. Oh, look, Elizabeth Whitaker. She says that she has the 10 needle machine. That's so exciting. Awesome. Oh, look, here's Carolyn. She says it's a beautiful Cinco de Mayo in Arizona. Oh my goodness. And one more. Stephanie loves the Luminaire XP2. That's my favorite machine.
It is really nice. I do have a soft spot in my heart for my Luminaire.
So how many machines do you have then?
Oh, so many. I actually have 3 10 needles. I have a 6 needle, a Luminaire. I've got the Stellaire XJ1. I have 2 scan and cuts, but I have 2 more at my daughter's house. So it's almost like, I have more things than I can use at the same time, but I tried.
Oh my gosh, everybody, we're going over to Tina's house and having
Yeah,
an
right?
embroidery party.
This is
Oh my
definitely the place.
God, that's so exciting. Well, we have so much to learn from you today. What do we have in store?
Well, we're going to make an awesome picnic place setting holder for the summer because I don't know about where you live, but in Tennessee, the wind blows all the time. We're up in the mountains, and if you set the picnic table or you take it out on the boat, and if it's not in something, it's blowing away in the wind.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're excited to see that. So let's go ahead and I'll give you the stage and take it away.
All right, terrific. So first, I'm going to give everybody a ta-da of the project. So let me just switch cameras really quick. And we're going to make a couple of things today. We're going to be using the Design Center features on the Stellaire and also on the 10 needle. We're going to be doing some basic sewing, but I love this idea. So basically, when you set the picnic table, even with the disposable plates that are much more lightweight, you can get the plate, the napkin, and the silverware all in here, and it's going to stay on the table until you're actually ready to use it, which I think is an awesome feature. So let's look at some basic sewing construction on the plate holder. I'm just going to walk you through a series of steps on the construction. Give me 1 second here. All right. So the first thing that I did was I basically measured how long of a piece of fabric I needed to basically wrap and make that pocket for my plate. And you should measure, if your plates are a different size than mine. But for me, I needed it to be 24 inches wide in this orientation and about 13.5 inches tall. And when you're looking at your plate itself on the 13.5 inch measurement, I would make that right at 2 inches wider than the widest part of your plate. So you've got lots of wiggle room in the pocket to actually get the plate down in there. All right. So you're going to cut 2 pieces of fabric, a backing and a lining fabric, and you're also going to cut it out of batting. So it's 3 different pieces all together. And then next up, to make that curved place where you insert the plate, I basically didn't want the curve to be too deep. So I used my quilting ruler and I drew a line with a heat erasable pen about 3 inches down from the top edge. So that's the long edge. All right. And then what I needed to do was draw a circle that was bigger than my plate. And so you can use whatever you have at home for this. I actually used a round placemat that I found, and I put the circle down to my 3 inch line, and then I centered it between the 2 sides as you see here. But if you don't have a round placemat, you could just as easily use a pizza pan or anything else that you had, an embroidery hoop, the old wooden types, that would work too. Whatever you have to make that circle shape, and of course traced it with that heat erasable pen. And so if we move on to the next one, once I traced it, I basically cut the curve out, and you can see that on the gray fabric. Now, I wanted to make sure that my curves were identical between all my pieces, and I wanted to make sure that I had the placemat in the right place every time. But to make that sort of goof proof for me, once I cut the first curve out of my gray fabric, I actually hit it with some spray adhesive and put it on some poster board, and then use that as a template to mark my other piece of fabric as you see me doing here. So that makes that part easy. And I would recommend that as you're cutting out the curve, that you cut one fabric at a time just to make sure that the curves match up really well. I tried cutting through multiple layers at a time and I did not get the same kind of results. So try and cut through it one layer at a time. And then once you get those cut, then you'll basically pin everything together. And so your 2 fabrics are going to be placed here right sides together, and my batting here is on the bottom level. I'm going to leave a 4-inch opening for turning it right side out later. And if you can just place that on the back of the plate holder, you don't have to worry about being so perfect when you're putting it together. All right, and then let's see what our next one is. So here, I told you I used a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you have guide marks on the machine, so you don't actually have to mark it on your fabric. But I did find that I appreciated it having it marked, at least in the curve section here and where the curves met the sides, because then as I was stitching it, I could just quickly just sort of follow the dotted line and make sure I had all that together and I knew exactly where to pivot. And then once you get the 3 layers sewn together, the next step is you're going to want to take some scissors and trim the batting right up to the stitching line. And I use the little duckbill scissors that you see here. Did a really good job, made that really easy for me. And then next up, of course, we're going to trim our seam allowances. And I trimmed them down to a little less than 1/4 of an inch. But in that, the turning area, I would go ahead and leave that 1/2 inch. That just makes it much easier to close those seams up later on in the next step of the project. Of course, as you see in the little circle at the top left, you're going to trim the corners pretty tight. And then at the curve on the right side, you're going to trim or notch the curve seam allowance. I did it about every 1/2 inch or so. And again, all that's just to make it easier for you to turn right side out and have really nice straight lines. And so this is me turning it right side out. You just stick your thumbs up in there and push the fabric in, and then you can pull it out until you get it completely turned right side out. And at that point, I brought out my point turner tool, which you see here, and used that to push out all 4 of my corners. I did take the iron, and on the long sides, I sort of pressed those seams open and then press them straight again, just to make sure I had really good edges on that. And that's a pretty quick process. And then I'm a big fan of fusible tape. So in that stitch and turn opening, I just folded under my edges, placed some fusible tape, and that holds it until I seam it later. And then here, once you get that basic construction done, then you basically, for the pattern, put your plate back in there and decide how far up you want to turn the pocket. And so you can see kind of what I used here. And then in case someone had a question on my next picture, I give you the measurements of that. So I'm actually taking those edges of my curves up to 2.5 inches from the top of my backing fabric. Now, while we're here, just a quick comment for you, and I share this because, of course, I did it wrong the first time. If your lining fabric has a directional print, which mine does, it has lettering on it, when you're putting your pieces together, make sure that the straight edge, not the curved edge, the straight edge is aligned with the top of your print. Otherwise, all your lettering would be upside down, which is how my first one turned out. All right. And then the next thing I did is I marked where that fold was to turn up the pockets. And then on the back side, just to keep my layers together, I put the Move It foot on my Stellaire, and I used one of the quilt piecing stitches in the Q category and stitched Q01, which is a center needle position straight stitch. And then about every 2 inches or so, I just did a line of run stitches down there to hold the layers together. Now, my fabric made this pretty easy for me because it's got a kind of a faux wood plank design on it. So I literally just ran my run stitches right down those plank lines on the fabric. But it's just to keep those layers from separating when you're using it. And then on the front side, of course, we'll have the embroidery, so that'll accomplish the same thing. So that's the sewing construction. So that's pretty straightforward. Do we have any questions from any of our viewers?
Well, first of all, I just want to say this is so super cute. I can like envision this being in so many different themes and just making it really fun for summer or Memorial Days coming up, or have it be floral for the springtime or Mother's Day. My wheels are turning.
Well, good. Then that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And yes, we did have a few questions. A few of them were about the giveaway. So let me just go over that one more time. So we have 2 giveaways during this live. The first one is in the chat on Facebook or YouTube. You just comment #AllBrands, And that will enter you to win a $50 e-gift card, which I'll announce to one lucky winner at the end of this broadcast. The second giveaway that we have, there is a link, which I'll ask that they put that in the chat right now. It's also in the description of this video. And that one will allow you to be eligible to win the Dime Mega giveaway. And this is over $3,200 in Designs and Machine embroidery software, products, everything embroidery to enhance your studio. So if we could get that link in the comments, I will go ahead and flash that up on the screen. Let's see here. It is right here. That's the link. So good luck, everyone. And let's see. We also have, I don't know if you've met Arlene, but she's our store manager from Slidell, Ann Metairie, and she's watching. She says hi. Denise says she has the Stellaire and she loves it. And yeah, so that answers our questions so far. But guys, let us know if you have any questions and we'll try to answer them live. So,
all right, perfect. So I'm just going to pop back and let you see the interim stitch out here on the sewing. Of course, I ironed this earlier, but I had it laying here. But these are just the lines we're stitching on the back side, right? And then on the front, we pretend we don't have the embroidery in here yet. We've just done the folding up. So that's the basic construction. So now what we're ready to do is use the My Design Snap app and the My Design Center on our Stellaire to capture some clip art and turn it into embroidery designs. And so if you haven't used the My Design Snap application, it is a free app from Brother, and it's really super simple to use. You can use it for capturing clip art to take into the design center and convert to stitches. You use it to position your designs within the hoop with a Stellaire. It's really a quick and easy to use application. There is this little manual that you can download from the Brother support site, and it'll walk you through step by step how to get all of that done. All right. So for today, our clip art for our plate holder is this cute, adorable little starfish. And I just really, really like that. And so we're going to capture this with the My Design Snap app. Now, for you guys at home, just so you know, when I do it on my phone, I can't get my phone up high enough without getting a bunch of glare on it. So I made a video earlier today, and Barbara's going to play that so you can see how we use that app to capture our line art. So Barbara, do you want to fire up that little video for us?
Sure. Here you go.
All right, so here all I'm doing is I'm holding my phone over the clip art that's in one of the frames that comes with a machine, and you hold it and it does the 1, 2, 3 and tells you that it captured it and asks you if you want to send it to the embroidery machine, and that's all that's necessary. So mine's already been sent to the machine, so I'm going to change over to the Stellaire, and we'll kind of see where we can find it. So we're using the Design Center. This is our home page, so I'm going to be choosing the Design Center here. Now, we captured line art, so it's kind of like the adult coloring book project. So we're going to come up here in the scanning area and choose line. All right, now we could have brought our clip art in through a USB stick, which you see here, but we actually sent it to the machine wirelessly. So we're going here to the wireless Retrieval, and here's several things that I've already sent to my machine, but the last one that I sent is the first in the list. So I'll click here. I'm just going to cheat and grab my mouse really, really quick, and sure enough, there's our starfish. So I'm just going to set, and that's going to bring it in here. So now you can see that it's captured the clip art. And on this screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little sliding red arrow icons, and I'm just going to crop my image a little bit. I don't really have a lot of junk outside of my image, you know, but if, for example, it had gone right up to the edge of the paper and I had a shadow at the edge of my paper, or, you know, there was some writing around it that I wanted to get rid of, I would just crop it out with these arrows. And at this point, as I'm looking at the screen, I'm trying to make sure that I see all of the elements that were in my clip art. If I had any gaps or anything missing, I would use the grayscale detection level here to go back in and pick up more detail. But it actually looks like I captured the image really well. Now do pay attention down here. The default setting for the machine is a satin stitch, which isn't what I'm going to use, but we'll adjust that in a little bit later of a step. All right, so now that I have it cropped, I'm going to hit the OK button, and it's processed the image. And again, now I'm giving it a really good look to make sure I don't see any gaps. There's nothing missing here. That looks really good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and hit set. And now it's come into the Design Center screen. All right, but just so you know, when it initially comes in here, I have the capture and I have the scan on top of each other. And so I want to make sure that I'm only looking at the scanned image here. So I'm going to come down here to my darkness adjustment for scanning and take that all the way to the left. And now I got rid of the background image, the picture that we had sent to the machine. And I'm just looking at my clip art here, all right? So at this point, I want to go in and I want to change the stitch type, because if you remember a second ago, I told you the default on the machine is a satin, and that's just too much for a satin stitch. So because I have lines, I'm going to be in this area here, the line properties. So I'm going to pop into my settings. And here you can see my satin is chosen. I'm actually going to turn it into a run stitch, okay? And I'm going to use two different thread colors here. I'm going to do the outside, kind of the triangles in one color and the little starfish himself in a different color. So with my bean stitch, that's a triple run selected, I'm going to come in here and pick a blue color for myself here. All right. And now to assign that new stitch type to my clip art, I could use the pencil if I wanted to do it dot by dot, but that would take the rest of the month probably. So I'm going to go to the bucket, the flood fill, and then I'm going to start clicking on some of the things that are in here. And you can see hopefully that they're changing colors as I'm clicking on it. And I'm happy to do a little bit of clicking just because the lines are separated from one another. All right, so I'm just going to keep going in here. Looks like I got all of that, and we'll come over here. And you can also hear the machine when it does something, it makes that the more of a bell noise. And when I've already changed it, you get that knocking noise that you might be able to hear here. So that looks great for the triangles. So let's go back in here again. And I'm going to leave it with a bean stitch, but I'm just going to choose another color of thread. I'll pick green. And again, these don't have to be the thread colors I'm planning to use. I'm simply looking for colors that I can see easily on the screen as I'm applying the stitch type. So now I'm just going to come in here to the starfish, and it looks like all of those lines connect. So I got everything except that one little circle right in the middle. Oops, I see one other thing. I'm going to go back to my blue again because I missed one of the little parts of the triangles here. This little guy here did not change. And I'm just going to lean in for a second, make sure that everything looks like it's been updated. All right. So depending on the stitch you've chosen, when I go to the next page, you can make additional adjustments. So let's go in here to next. And because I have a bean stitch selected, the only change you can really make to a bean stitch is the stitch length or the run pitch. And I actually don't need to change anything here. The only time I would change the stitch length is if I had teeny tiny little curves. Then I would shorten my stitch length so that I ended up with curves and not little corners, all right? But we look really good here. I'm just gonna click through and make sure I don't see anything that I'm not expecting here. No, that all looks pretty good. All right, so the next thing that I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna save this work into the brain or the memory of the machine on the Design Center side by clicking the little pocket here. And I could save it to USB, but I'm going to save it to the machine. And the reason I'm doing that is I may decide tomorrow to come back in here, and maybe then I just want to run stitch, or maybe I want to play around with a chain stitch, right? And if I've saved it into the machine memory, I won't have to send the clip art over again. I can just recall it and assign a different stitch to it. So I really love that feature. So now I'm going to go to the preview, and it's going to process. And what we're doing now is we're changing vector artwork. and we're getting ready to turn it to stitches. And so here you can see that I've got everything in here on the embroidery side. Looks like it's about 12,000 stitches. I've got my 2 thread colors. It looks really good in the bean stitch. All right. And again, if I want to save it I can save it here as well, but we're going to go ahead and do set now. And what's happening now is I'm leaving the design center and going to the embroidery side of the machine. And so this is, once I hit OK, it's going to turn my line art into stitches, and that's what I want to have happen. All right, so we'll go in here and open it on the embroidery side, as you see here. So now I have a stitch file. Doesn't it look great? And it was so easy to do, right? I mean, it just couldn't have been any easier.
Tina, I love my design center. It's so amazing. My goodness.
I agree. You can do so many things, and the level of detail that you can capture in the design center is just incredible.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. So we had a few questions come in, if that's okay, about the app that you were using. So you have the Brothers Stellaire. There's 2 models of it, the XJ1, which is an embroidery and a sewing machine combination, and the XE1, which is an embroidery only machine. But either machine used this My Design Snap app, and we had that was that video that we played on the screen earlier. So I'll ask some questions that came up regarding that.
Okay.
Let's see. Heidi says, the Snap app is great. Do I have to have a compatible machine, or can I use it with any embroidery software and then save a USB and load it to my machine?
It really is designed on for the capture to work with a Stellaire. And so what's really nice about the design center, it's so subtle that you don't notice it, but we did all this without going into software, right? The design center effectively is embroidery software right on your embroidery machine. So for those of you who don't like to do things with software on computers, you can do all this right directly on your embroidery machine.
I love that. And the Stellaire is different. It has My Design Center like the Luminaire, but because the camera is not integrated into the machine and you use your smart device to take photos of the background and send pictures to your machine, it's actually it's the entry level priced model to get into My Design Center for creating embroidery designs in your machine from a picture on your smart device. So it's amazing. Here's another question. The other questions were just the same questions from Valerie. And Nilda says, I love watching AllBrands show. Nilda, it's always great to see you watching. Thank you. All right, well, let's continue and keep asking questions, everyone.
Perfect. All right, so our next challenge is going to be to get our project in the hoop exactly where we want it. So this is another time that we're going to use the My Design Snap app. So let me just I'm going to move over here really quickly. So here you can see with the Stellaire, the hoops that come with the machine have these special registration marks on them. And so on the positioning side, when you take a picture of this, the machine uses the registration marks. The machine uses the registration marks to get that positioning correct. Can you hand me my phone, please? All right. And so again, you guys will have a little bit of difficulty seeing me capture the positioning on my phone. I'm going to do that really quick. But the good news is I sent a video in earlier. So then we'll play the video so you'll be able to see a little bit better what's happening here. Okay. So I've got just so you know, I've got my project in the hoop. I've got sticky stabilizer in here. And you'll notice I've rolled up the bottom section of my project and secured it with some painter's tape so I can see both the registration marks at the top and the bottom of my hoop. And that's really important when you're doing this next step. All right. So for me, I've chosen positioning on my phone. All right. And one of the other things that we need to do is we need to choose the advanced setting. And so I'm taking a picture really quickly right now. All right. And I'm sending it to the machine. So Barb, you want to fire up that second video so they can see what just happened?
Of course. Here you go.
Perfect. All right, oops, it's a little fast. So we pick positioning. You'll notice we've chosen the advanced mode. You just literally hold it over the frame for 3 seconds. It takes the picture. You tell it to send it to the machine, and poof, it's at the embroidery machine. Isn't that incredible?
It's magic.
I mean, it really is kind of magic. So let's go back to the Stellaire and see what's happening now. So again, I just sent that image for my phone. And so it's saying that it was sent. Update will say sure. All right. And now it wants me to put the hoop that I took the picture on. That makes sense because you want to match those up. I'm going to put the hoop on my machine. So I've done that now too. And now it's basically just going to adjust here. All right. So this step here is in the hoop. There's a red LED light that shines on my fabric in the hoop. And what I'm going to do here is use my arrow keys on the screen to make sure that that red light is shining right here in the little belly button of the snowman that you see in the red dot here. All right. So I'm going to move this just a wee bit here on screen. And then I've got a picture of this so you guys can see what I'm looking at too. So here you can see the red light is shining right in on the middle of that dot in the larger circle on the snowman sticker. All right. So once you have that lined up, you'll just press OK here. And it moved it a little bit, but to finish it, we're going to go into embroidery. And then we have a layout option. All right, we push layout, and there's our snowman. All right. And we want it to be the center positioning because that's how I marked my project. And we'll hit OK. And now it's moved so that the needle, that initial needle drop, which is in the dead center of your design, is positioned right over the belly button of my little snowman. So it's exactly what I wanted. And so then I simply remove the snowman sticker as it tells you here. All right. And then I'll hit OK. And by the way, the reason we remove the snowman stickers, I don't know if any of the rest of you ever stitched one of these into your projects, but I did. So I appreciate being reminded to remove it before I hit go.
We have a question from Kathleen real quick. She says, how do you know where to put the snowman?
So what I did was, here, we can pop back over here real quick and I'll show you under the camera. All right. So let me just unroll this a little bit. Since I've already stitched it, I can move it around in the hoop a little bit. So all I did is when I had this ready to go, I had marked my fold, and so I knew that this was the top of my plate holder. And I literally, I'm a simple girl, so I took a quilting ruler and I measured how tall this was, and I divided it by half and made a mark here. And then I took the ruler and I measured how wide it was. Same kind of thing. I put a mark halfway across. And then as I'm placing my snowman sticker, I just aligned it with that little crosshair I made with a heat erasable pen. So super simple.
Great, thank you. So you can literally hoop crooked if you want to, but if your snowman lines up with the hoop, it will automatically rotate your pattern so that it's stitches out correctly.
Isn't that incredible?
It's incredible.
Yeah, you would think as an educator that I might be a really good hooper, but I am the world's most crooked hooper. And so the snowman positioning system saves me more times than not.
Yes, it's always great to have safety nets. And we have another teacher in the comments here. Miss Shirley says she just got home from teaching a class on Brothers My Design Center, which is the auto digitizing in the machine that creates you take a picture and then it creates stitches. She says most of the people in the class have had their machines a long time and didn't even know to use it. And they were amazed at what you can do. So these machines are just amazing.
And, you know, honestly, even for like clip art and stuff, it's been my experience that you can capture the image better on the machine than you can with a lot of the software programs that are out there.
Yes. Yes. I'm not a fan of computers personally. I like everything to be in the one platform that I'm using.
No, I understand that.
Right.
I understand that. All right. So then at that point on the embroidery module that we have everything ready. And then we would literally just lower our presser foot and hit the green start button and stitch our design. So it's just that easy to get perfect placement. And now let me pop back over to the camera because we got one more step on the sewing construction to actually get to our finished plate holder. So here you can see the one I did this morning. So our embroidery is finished. It's placed nicely here. The last thing that we have to do here is just basically line up the sides, right? And I use clips instead of pins. I just find that it's easier for me to work with. I find pins kind of distort it as I'm sewing. And then you'll want to make sure that you have the move it foot, or I would recommend the move it foot on your machine. When you're quilting, because you got lots of layers at this point, you got 4 pieces of fabric and 2 layers of batting, and this will just feed the fabric on the top and the bottom so that you have perfect stitching, no puckering before the stitching. And literally it's just going to be a straight stitch down this side and a straight stitch down this side. I would go ahead and reinforce your stitches at these top ends here because that's where you're going to have stress points when you're using it. And just by going back over it a couple times, that'll make sure you don't have any stitches that pop out. And that's it. Then you have a finished plate holder. Pretty easy, isn't it?
That is so cute. I love the beach theme. It makes me want to run to the beach and make these for all my family.
Totally understand. Totally understand. So now I guess we can tackle doing the napkin over at the 10 needle because, similar process, but a different tool.
Yeah.
Right?
So let me see if we have any questions before we go on to the new project. Let's see. Oh, here's something from April. She says, Tina always has great ideas and I enjoy her on the show so much. Thank you.
Oh,
April.
So sweet. Thank you.
Gwendolyn says, oh boy, I can see I'm going to end up with one of these nice big brother sewing machines.
Well, you know what? That is something you will never regret for a minute. And while they're having that great promotion for Mother's Day, you might want to jump on that right now.
Yes. So here it is. It's the 60 months financing through Brothers that starts tomorrow and goes through the 16th. So get your Mother's Day dream machine. And yeah, great. Let's see what else we have. Karen asks, I'm assuming this is about the snowman. How would this work with logos on polo shirts?
So same kind of thing. I'm assuming it's left chest, right? And so there are a number of templates out there or guidelines for where the design should be positioned based on the size of the shirt in relation to the shoulder seam and the curvature at the neck. So you would basically just measure down to where the center of the design should be. And I would use a heat erasable pen or some other removable marker to make those marks. You put your snowman sticker on, take a picture of it in the hoop, just like we did for this project. And the rest of the positioning is identical to what we just did.
And here's one from Jeannie. She says, again, about the snowman sticker. So the snowman sticker is great because it works on the Stellaire, the 10 needle, and the Luminaire machine. So it's great. She says, if you place the snowman sticker and hoop the project crooked, will the machine line up the design horizontal and vertical or just center?
So that is the magic of the snowman, right? It does all of that adjustment for you, and it can help you with the centering. Now on the Stellaire, you saw that we marked up the center. If you were worried about rotation, there's a trace feature on the machine that you can use to double check the horizontal axes just to kind of make sure that you got it in there straight. But yeah, the snowman is magic because you can hoop it all kinds of crazy ways and the machine automatically fixes it for you.
Yeah. So the machine will rotate the design according to the snowman sticker. Great questions, everyone. All right. So let's get to the 10 needle.
All right. So here's our finished project. We've got the needle the napkin in here with a little nautilus shell on here. And I went ahead and because the napkin is so dark and I have a contrasting thread, I really wanted a lot of color saturation in here. So I actually matched my bobbin thread to my top thread. And for those of you who didn't know, Brother actually has a bobbin winder accessory that you can use with the multi-needle. I use it for things like this where I'm really looking for great color saturation, freestanding lace, or when I'm doing projects like embroidered hankies where you're going to see both sides to match the bobbin color to the top thread color. Super easy to use. It winds the bobbins amazingly quick. Put them in just like any other bobbin you use in the machine and you're off to the races with matching bobbin color. So that's kind of fun. Now on the 10 needle, it's a little different than the Stellaire in that the machine actually has a camera on the machine. And so on the 10 needle, I've already got one on my 10 needle. Since I have more than one, though, I have more than one scanning mat, but we're going to use the scanning mat accessory that comes with the machine. And we'll place our clip art on here with the green magnets that actually come with the machine. And the only thing magic about the green magnets is they're low profile, so they pass under the presser foot without hitting it. Couple of things for you on the scanning mat, if you haven't used it before, make sure that you don't cover up these black and white bars at the top. That's how the machine calibrates the scan. And so if they're covered, you won't get as good of a quality of scan. And there's a needle plate cover that stores right here on your scanning mat. And you're going to want to put this little guy on the needle plate before you attach the scanning mat. And what it does is it makes sure that the scanning mat passes over the needle plate without being disrupted in its movement. All right. And then before I walk over the 10 needle, the other thing I wanted to show you guys was our new amazing flash magnetic frames. So I'm going to use one over at the 10 needle, but the 5x7, but I also have the 4x4. So I wanted you guys to see it in case you haven't already. So these came out last summer and they are amazing. I use these every single day. They've got pinch release magnets. So they're the magnets are incredibly strong, but this pinch release process makes them super easy to get off. And you see I've got my stabilizer in here already. And so if I were hooping the napkin, right, I've marked kind of my vertical center for my design. But with the design of these hoops, there's room for tons and tons of fabric up in the neck of the hoop, which I love. So I've even done big laundry bags, and the entire laundry bag fits up here in this area behind the hoop. And then as I'm lowering it, I've got the vertical and horizontal center markings here. I can just, because I put a vertical line on my napkin before I brought it into the hoop, I can just line those up. And then it's simply a matter of quickly placing the 4 magnets and then putting it on the machine and stitching. And so literally, if I were doing a set of 12 napkins, I would have less than probably 30 seconds between taking the previous napkin off and putting the new napkin in with these frames. They are just amazing. So if any of you have any of the multi-needles, these are compatible with the 10 and the 6 needles. If you haven't gotten these yet, I can't say enough good things about them. They're really a wonderful hooping system.
And these are called the flash frames, correct?
Correct. The flash frames, they come, like I said, in the 4x4 and the 5x7 size.
What a wonderful thing. And it just snaps into the machine using the adapter. So
yeah, it's right in there. So easy.
Yeah, no screwdrivers to loosen hoops and things like that. Just you can do it in a flash.
That's probably how they named them. All right, so let's pop over to the 10 needle. I've got the scanning mat on there already. Oh, looks like my screen went to sleep here. All right, so I've got the scanning mat attached. I've got clip art with the little green magnets here in the hoop area. And now we're getting ready to do the scan. All right, so I'm going to come in here to the design center, my design center. It's just letting me know it's going to move. And the first thing I'm going to do is tell it what kind of image I'm scanning. And so again, I've got line designs. Think of adult coloring book kind of things, right? You have 2 other options on here. You've got image scan and illustration design. So for me, you know, sometimes I'm doing a fabric panel and I want to scan in the fabric and design a custom quilting motif for it. In that case, I would use the image scan. And then the illustration, imagine instead of the adult coloring book with just the black lines, you had a comic book. And so you had solid colors inside of the black lines. In that case, I would use the illustration design. So I get that question a lot. I thought I'd just cover it really quickly. So we've got line design. So I'm going to choose that option here. And this time I'm just going to tell the machine to go ahead and scan what's on the mat. So it's just the scan button. It's letting me know it's going to move.
So this is basically the same concept, different machines. So we're in my design center. Before we were in the Stellaire. Now we're in the Brother 10 needle. So the 10 needle actually has a camera in the machine. So that's what it's using now, is the internal camera.
Correct. Yep. And this just takes a few seconds. It's a really quick scanning process. And again, the level of detail that you can capture here is amazing. All right. So you can see here that it's captured the design. Again, like last time, I'm going to crop my image. Definitely, I want to crop out the magnets. Sometimes your clip art might be big enough, so big that you can't completely clip out the magnets. And there is an eraser function in a later step that you can use to erase it if you need to. All right. So I've cropped in my image. Again, we're seeing a satin stitch down here, but on the 10 needle, because I know I want a bean stitch, I can hit this little settings button here, go right to my bean stitch that I want. And I'm just going to pick a lighter color. I'm trying to pick one that you guys can actually see too. All right. All right. So again, I've chosen the bean stitch and a color, and I'm looking at my diagram to see if I see anything missing. And it actually looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I have another opportunity to check and see. And what I'm looking for is any holes or parts of the line art that weren't captured by the machine. But it did a really good job, so I don't see any problems. Again, if you have that issue, you can just use the sliding grayscale detection level to try to improve the amount of data that's captured. So we're good here. We're going to press set. And now it's brought up my scanned image. And again, like last time, I have the image of the complete scanning mat behind it. And so to get rid of that, because it's a little distracting, I just come here to my lightness and darkness and take it all the way to the left for light. And then what I'm left with is what the machine captured for the scan. And that looks amazing. Now, we're not going to do this, but in case you ever have something like this, and maybe you want to add some solid fill areas, right? This would be my fill area down here. And right now it's with red and a solid fill, but I could come in and activate my bucket. And if I want to, I can enlarge this to like 100 or 200%. And then I can start clicking in some of these areas, and I could actually add color if I wanted to. Okay. Now, we don't want to do this in this particular case, so I'm just going to use my back arrow to get rid of that. But I did want you to know that that's an option when you're working.
That's one of my favorite things to play with, Tina, because it's like you're in a coloring book, but you're creating an embroidery design. It's so fun.
And, you know, and there's no risk to it because you've got the undo button, right? Just go, if you do something that you don't like, just hit the undo button and you're back to like it never even happened. So that's really fun. So this all looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead to the next page. Now, again, had I chosen a different stitch type, I would have other options available to me for changing it. Again, I've chosen a bean stitch. So really my only option is the stitch length or the run pitch. And I don't see any reason to change any of that. So we'll go ahead and set. So at this point, again, I'm getting ready to leave the design center and convert artwork into stitches. If I had wanted to capture this and save it in the design center we can go back here. I can hit the memory option here, and then I have a variety of places I can save it. We'll just pop it into the machine. We'll hit set again. Now I've saved it in the design center in case I want to do something different with it tomorrow. And now it brings up my stitch file. It really is just that easy. Now I'm actually going to, and maybe, you know, if there are questions, this is a good time. I'm actually going to take the scanning mat off the machine and put the flash magnetic frame on here because I thought it would make sense to go ahead and walk everyone through the positioning on this as well. All right.
Oh, that's great. So that scanning frame comes with the 10 needle machine, but the magnetic hoop that you're putting on is an optional accessory.
Correct. So
here's one question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. I was going to say I'm putting the F driver on the machine right now, and you can use the same driver for both the 4x4 and the 5x7 magnetic frames.
So F driver stands for flash frame driver. Easy to remember.
I would love to say that's true, but I think it was the next letter in the alphabet to come up.
Oh. Here's one really good question from L. Faber about purchasing Brother dealer machines like the Stellaire and the 10 needle machine. So Brother has dealers in territories throughout the United States. So L. Faber, if you are in our territory, we would love to earn your business and get you into one of these machines. From our retail store, we'll provide you training, but you do have to be one of our local customers. So Brother actually has a dealer locator on their website. So I encourage you guys to look on there. And if AllBrands shows up, please consider us as your local dealer. Good question.
That is a great question. All right, so I have the scanning mat on. I want to make sure that I remember to take off that little needle plate cover that we had with the scanning mat. So I just remember to do that now. And as I go to set this hoop on, the arm in the back is a little too far forward. And it's because I made that transition from the scanning mat. So to fix that, I'm going to go to the needle bar case key, and then I'm going to hit this button right here. And what's going to happen is it's going to move that arm back so that now I have room to get this frame in there. And it literally just slides into that frame holder just like that. It's super quick and super easy to do. All right. And so I'm just going to come back out of here by saying, okay. And now it's going to move the hoop into a stitching position. So really quick and really easy. Now, positioning on the 10 needle, I could put the Snowman sticker on here again, and it would adjust for rotation and centering, but, and it works very similarly to what we showed you on the Stellaire, but we have a couple of other options on here that I thought I would show you. So on the 10 needle, while you're on the embroidery edit screen, you can actually do a scan of your fabric. So it's a little icon here that looks like a camera. So once we press that, what it's going to do is it's going to take a picture of the fabric that's in my hoop, and I'll see my embroidery design superimposed on top of it. Okay, so here you can see my design, you can see my napkin that's in there, and I could make some movements of that strictly either with my finger on the screen or with the arrows. Okay, so that's a really nice, simple positioning option on this machine. But we also, when we come out of this screen, we move to the next screen, we also have my very, very favorite thing on the 10 needle, and that's the real-time positioning camera. So the icon here looks like a picture of the machine. All right. And so what's going to happen here is it's actually, this is a real-time camera. So if I put my fingers in here, you can see exactly where we are here. Okay. And again, I have the arrows, but what I like to do a lot of times is come in, and if I do the magnifying glass here, then on this screen, I have access to all kinds of things on the same page. I can move, I can rotate, and I can check on positioning landmarks all on the same screen. So one of the things that I want to do on my little seashell is I want the tip of the Nautilus shell to line up with a vertical center. So here, right now, I'm looking at the top center. I want to look at the bottom center position, and you can see that I need to rotate this guy over a little bit, right? I want to slide that over. So I can just hit my rotate buttons. Let's see, probably need another one of those. A couple more. And I can do that and look at it directly on the screen. So for those of you who are visual, this is a really great way to position things. Now we want to come back up, and I want to check the top. And here, I just want to make sure that my design doesn't extend into the hem stitching that's on my napkin. But I also see that I can actually move this up a little bit here. So I'm going to move it up a little bit as well. All right, until I have it in exactly the position that I want. Once I have it positioned, and again, This is like a preview of what's going to happen. I haven't stitched anything, but I know exactly what it's going to look like when it's done, which I totally love. And then from here, I'll just hit OK. And then to stitch it, we go to embroidery. And all I would do, and I even get notified when I have a thread color change that's needed, which that's really fun, right? Because sometimes I've forgotten to change the colors. And your tiger doesn't look the same in blue and orange thread, let me just tell you.
I love on the 10 needle how you can just set the colors and it'll automatically change from color to color, and you don't have to be there to literally change every color. It's amazing.
It is really amazing. There's another free app on the 10 needle that if you guys haven't tried downloading, it's called My Stitch Monitor. So it also is like, I call it the I guess the baby monitor on steroids for your embroidery machine. So you can hit the go button and you can watch the stitch out on your phone. If you have a thread break, it notifies you when it's done embroidering. It tells you it's finished. It's really nice. And so I use that all the time because I'm doing several things at the same time. And so here on the 10 needle, based on where we had it, all we would have to do to move forward is basically hit the lock button here and then the flashing green button, and we would have it stitched out in just 6 minutes. So super, super quick. So let's pop over here and take another look at it to remind ourselves. But look at all that amazing detail that was captured in just a few seconds with the scanning mat and the machine. Isn't that incredible?
So this design wasn't a built-in design on the machine. This was a drawing that you scanned and brought into my design center, and then it converted it to stitches, digitized it, and then stitched it out.
All of that, yeah, literally. And I mean, you know, I wish I was an artist, but I'm not. So I use clip art or adult coloring book pages or other sources. But imagine if you had artistic skills and could draw your own drawings and in just a few seconds convert them to embroidery designs right on the machine. It's just incredible.
This is incredible. And I gotta say, my design center is my favorite thing in the whole entire planet in my crafting room, because it gives you unlimited possibilities of what you can do. It's just so fun, you know, and it's so easy just at your fingertips with your embroidery machine.
Totally.
Well, we have a few questions, and then we'll be doing our 2 big giveaways. So if you haven't yet, please comment #AllBrands in the comments, and you can be eligible to win a $50 allbrands.com e-gift card. And if you haven't yet, there is a link in the description of this video to enter to win the Dime Mega giveaway. So that'll be in just a few minutes. So, all right. Here's some questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. We have one from Dawn Dupree, and this was earlier. She says, what walking foot do you recommend using? And that was in reference to earlier.
Yeah, I actually use the Move It foot that comes with the machine. There is a brand new re-engineered Move It foot that came out last summer that allows thicker fabric to pass under it. So that would be another option.
I love those. And the feet snap off, so you can do open toe, you can do stitch in the ditch, 1/4 inch, just like the regular sewing and couching.
Yep.
And then there's guides available as well for those. Fantastic. Here's another question from Joe. Do they have a magnetic hoop for single needle embroidery machines?
We actually have 2, Joe. We have a 5x7 magnetic frame for it. And then we also have the Hoopnetic quilt sashing frame that has a 7x14 inch embroidery area. And they're both really awesome hoops. One of the things I love about both of them is rather than having a single magnet that is the whole top of the hoop, there are multiple magnets. And so there's not as much pressure to lower the magnets at the perfect spot. You can set one, do a little adjusting, set the next one, and keep going until you have it all ready to go.
It's so nice. I love it. And here's Linda. Maybe we can reference this question to both machines. What's the largest hoop size that these embroidery machines will sew out?
So the Stellaire can do up to a 9.5 by 14 inch embroidery area. And the 10 needle, this is a trick question, okay? So there's also a hoop netted quilt sashing frame for the 10 needle that has a 7 7/8 by 14-inch embroidery area. But wait, because there's also the multi-positional 14 by 14-inch hoop for that machine, which is one of my all-time favorites. So imagine you can do a 14-inch quilt block in a single hooping. And the way that one works is you put the hoop on and it does the first half of the design, and then it prompts you to put a snowman sticker. It takes a picture of the snowman. You rotate the hoop to the other side. It takes another picture of the snowman and does the magic of matching everything perfectly. You hit the go button, and then when it stops the second time, you have a 14-inch embroidery. So whether it's a photo stitch, a giant photo stitch, or a quilt block, it's really nice to be able to do 14 by 14-inch embroidery.
Yes, I agree. Okay, here's one, not a question, but from Anne. She says, I love the table on that, referring to the 10 needle embroidery machine. So can you tell us a little bit about that extension table that's included?
Yeah. So the wide extension table actually comes in the box with your 10 needle. And when you think about using that machine and you think about doing heavy projects, right? The purpose of that table is to support the weight of your embroidery projects, to keep there from being any downward pressure on the front end of the hoop. So you basically put the table on the machine. It creates a nice solid flat surface for you. It handles all the weight, because remember, your hoops are designed to provide the tension that's necessary for embroidery. They're not meant to hold up a king-size quilt.
Exactly. Or towels.
True.
Towels hanging off the front. You definitely want to have that extension table.
And while we're talking about that, just really quickly, if you're ever doing a heavy project, let's say you're doing embroidery on the leg of a pair of jeans, which that can be kind of heavy too, especially my size. We also have another accessory to help manage the weight for narrow profile projects, and that's the tubular frame table. And so it basically is about 6 inches wide, and it comes out to about 14 inches out. And so it does a great job of managing the weight for narrow profile projects. Things, like if you're doing the sleeve of a Carhartt jacket, you need the weight support, but you also need that free arm access. And so the wide extension table doesn't work as well for that.
Great, great. Let's see. Terry asks, for the napkin, what stabilizer did you use? Is the stabilizer the sticky to hold the point down?
So you've got options on stabilizer choices when you're doing the napkin. One of my favorites is an adhesive Washaway stabilizer. So I kind of laugh. My joke is if Sticky and Washaway had a baby, it would be adhesive Washaway, right? So you get all the convenience of a sticky holding the point down, nothing shifting. And then once you're done stitching and it goes through the wash, all the stabilizer completely disappears. So you have a completely clean back, right? So that's one option. Again, for a napkin, if you don't have that stabilizer, I bet your friends at AllBrands have that for you. But another option would be to use normal tearaway, because most napkins are made out of a woven. So tearaway would work for a napkin back as well.
Great. All right. Well, we're towards the end of our broadcast, and I have 2 big giveaways to do. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to bring in our first giveaway is the $50 allbrands.com e-gift card. And drum roll, please. The winner is, let's see, Alice Gilbert. Congratulations, Alice. Please email me at events@allbrands.com to claim your prize. And you can use that on our website, allbrands.com. So I encourage you all to check out our website, allbrands.com, because we ship all over the world. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please click the subscribe button to see future videos. And if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and follow our page. We would really, really appreciate that. All right. You ready for the big one?
I know. I'm so excited.
Me too. So here's the cool news. We actually did this in each one of our retail stores throughout Louisiana and Texas. So I'm going to announce those winners first, and then I'm going to announce the grand prize winner from the online submission. All right. So the first winner for, let's see. All right. For our Houston, Texas store is Deanna Post. Congratulations, Deanna. And this was her in our store claiming her prize. I know she's going to be a very happy camper.
I can't believe you had a table big enough to hold all that stuff.
All right. So in Metairie, so New Orleans, Louisiana, we have Teresa Bruckney. And here she is claiming her prize. Congratulations, Teresa. Thank you for coming into our retail store and registering for that. All right. And the next one, I don't have pictures for the rest of them, so I'll just go flash those on the screen. For our Slidell, Louisiana store, we have Irene Plaisance. Congratulations, Irene. For Lafayette, Louisiana store, we have Melanie Thavis. Congratulations, Melanie. San Antonio, Texas, we have Donna King. Congratulations, Donna. And for Baton Rouge, we have Serenia Williams. Congratulations. So if you hear your name on this video, go ahead and contact the store where you won, and they'll get you your prizes and everything. So here's the big one. The online entry winner is Charlotte McCleary. Congratulations, Charlotte. My goodness. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that. And yeah, what a great prize. Congratulations, Charlotte.
That's incredible. What a happy group of winners you guys have, huh?
So Charlotte, if we'll contact you to get you your prize, and we have your address from your entry. So thank you, everyone who participated. And yeah, so guys and gals, and all of y'all, we have Mother's Day coming up. So everybody can be a winner with the 60 months financing through Brother. So this is it. Treat yourself this Mother's Day, May 6th through the 16th, 2022, for 0% financing for 60 months on select Brother machines, which the ones that you showed today are included. The PR 1055X 10 needle embroidery machine by Brother, the Brother XJ1 Stellaire sewing, embroidery, and quilting machine, and then the embroidery only version. So if you have a sewing machine that you love and you just want to get into my design center, this is a perfect machine to get, and that's the Brother XE1. Yes. Well, thank you, Tina. You're awesome. I hope we have you back on the show very soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. And everybody, happy Mother's Day to everyone who's watching. And again, you know, if you don't have one of these machines show up with a bow on top, that doesn't mean you can't go pick it up for yourself.
Yes. I hope you choose AllBrands as your local dealer. If not, visit Brothers Dealer Locator, and they have tons of great dealers in the United States and abroad as well. Here's some comments before we leave. Louise says, love Brother machines. Awesome. Terry says, awesome. And Nilda, good for starting a business. Yep. Oh my goodness, yes. Connie, thanks for watching. Oh my gosh. Karen, good to see you again. I don't want to go, but we have to. We'll be back next week, though. And next Thursday at 3:30. So we'll see everybody there. And thank you again, Tina.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Whoever's behind the scenes, give them a big pat on the back because they did a great job. Thank you. Thank you too, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.